Welcome to today's episode of the Licensing Lowdown, where we dive into the wild and wacky world of software licenses that are hilariously absurd, downright confusing, and frankly questionable. If you think your software license is strange, wait until you hear about some of these. So grab a snack, sit back, and let's get into it. All right, let's start with the passive-aggressive license. This one is like that friend who invites you to hang out, but then just kind of gives you the cold shoulder when you actually show up. It lets you copy, modify, or distribute the source code, but wait for it, you can't actually run the program. Imagine getting permission to use a car, but only to admire it from the driveway. Then there's the non-white heterosexual male license. Yes, you heard that right. It allows everyone who isn't a white heterosexual male to do whatever they want with the software, while the rest, well, let's say they have to follow strict rules. It raises a lot of eyebrows, doesn't it? It's like saying, everyone can jump except you, so good luck standing still. Moving on to something a bit less contentious. How about the hot potato license? This one transfers ownership to whoever makes the last commit. Talk about a game of catch. You don't just hand over a hot potato, you have to run with it too. Can you imagine trying to keep track of your code, all while hoping you don't get stuck with it at the end of your project? Now let's consider the Buena Onda license, which sounds like a friendly handshake at a beach party. It asks you to release the source code into the public domain, but, politely requests that you not be a jerk. Hey, enjoy the code, but maybe don't use it to build an evil robot army, okay? And how can we forget the infamous Don't Be a Dick public license? I mean, it's bold, right? Do whatever you want, but seriously, don't be a dick. It even lists examples of what constitutes dickish behavior, like don't modify the original work to contain harmful content. But here's the thing, what's harmful? You can sort of imagine a group of developers gathered around a computer, debating whether a pop-up ad qualifies as harmful. Now picture a license that outright demands you be a certain way to use it, like the Be Gay Do Crimes license. Yes, it requires you to be gay and do crimes. Do I have to show proof? Am I going to get carded at the door? I guess the end-user agreement doubles as a pride rally. And for the real head-scratchers, meet the Celtar license, which humorously requires you to give your first child to the author to immolate it to the devil. Who thought this was a good idea? Imagine presenting that to your lawyer. So, I just need to sign this before we start coding, right? Let's pivot to a lighter note with the Happy Bunny license, which is like the ideal license for a kindergarten class. It's an MIT-style license, but has a cute twist. It discourages military use. So, if you were thinking about launching your bunny animated game in a war zone, this one's a hard pass. Here's another interesting character, the Nuclear Waste Software license. With a name like that, it sounds as dangerous as it sounds. It's ambiguous enough that you're left wondering if it's actually about coding or if it's just another excuse to throw caution and common sense to the wind. As we highlight these absurd licenses, I can't help but wonder, who comes up with this stuff? A room full of developers locked in a brainstorming session, fueled by caffeine and questionable humor? It's a joke waiting to happen. Now, before we wrap up this wild ride through licensing madness, let me reiterate the main takeaway. These licenses are humorous reminders of how complex and frankly ridiculous the tech world can get. The next time you're sifting through a license agreement, remember that there's always something stranger lurking out there. Thanks for joining me today on the Licensing Lowdown.